It is 12:44 in the afternoon. I'm in Iowa Falls, Iowa, and I remembered kind of where this is on the location of geography this time versus calling it Iowa versus calling it Ohio. Hopefully my hair's okay. I've just took off my hard hat and stuff after I've unsecured this load, getting it ready to disembark my trailer. If the hair's okay, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of these videos, feel free to subscribe. You'll see more of them. I'm constantly making them as I go. This just seemed like an ample opportunity, as it might be a couple minutes before they come over here. This is a load that's very similar to coiled rod as far as how it's loaded and secured, with a couple exceptions. This is, I guess, the end result of the manufacturing process is after you take some coiled rod to a location, they turn it into cable and they use it to use in their precasting of concrete stuff. So you can see we've got two here, 1, 2, and 2. There's always an oddball out, but that's okay. Still secured with our straps going around and back through to the other side, pulling it back, and then the same thing here, pulling it forward from the back end. But in addition to the straps that go around, there's a strap that goes on the bottom and a strap that goes over the top. It's like a figure 8. Let's see if I can explain this clearly. Goes up and through, up and over, back down and through to connect on the other side. And you got to do that for each one of these. So there's a lot of straps, but it keeps it in place and keeps it secure. Typically on a coiled rod load, there is just the lumber and cradles. You know, there's 2 of them in the rear and then 1 in the front. But when dealing with the coiled cable, there's a set of dunnage and coil cradles for each section. This is, I guess what you would say is a more dense product per unit, since we're talking in scientific terms of units, and whether it's a big unit or a small unit. These are, I guess, what you would call big units. Again, I could stray too far with this. This is roughly 45,000 pounds. It's a little over, it's almost 46. You can see I got a lot of space on my deck, and a lot of the loads that I carry, and I wouldn't say a lot, but I mean, there are times where you look at it and it's like, wow, you got all that deck space. Does that really weigh that much? And yeah, it does. It's amazing the amount of concentrated weight we can carry on these trailers, and I see very little. Somebody mentioned belly flopping before, and I've never noticed any type of movement in that arena while traveling down the road. It's always been when they load this that it tends, because there's a natural curve to flatbeds, at least the modern ones. I'm sure there's some from 1948 that you can find in a junkyard somewhere that are completely flat or bowed in the other direction from overuse. But the modern trailers, they have like a natural curve built into them, so when they are loaded, it flattens out. And anyway, just wanted to take a moment to show you what I got. It's a little bit different, and I actually have the opportunity to film this, and so I figured I would share. Let's get a close-up here. Trying to find an end. Probably won't see it, but you can kind of guesstimate on how many strands of wire make up one cable. There are ladybugs everywhere. This must be the ladybug central location for Iowa. It may be one of probably the few places where there's actually water. I don't know. I don't know anything about Iowa Falls or Iowa for that matter. When I came into this location way down on the road, I thought this was according to the maps, it shows this road goes all the way through. But when you get to a certain point over there, it's got a big sign that says, if you reach this point and you don't know why you're here, then you're trespassing. I thought that was an ingenious way to mark private property. But I kept going, and I'm assuming it's the sign for this particular company, and it's not a public road that goes through it. It just happens to have public roads on each side that they have a private road connecting them. So I was initially confused, had to open up my GPS on my phone, Google Maps, to make sure I was I was doing this right. Sometimes you end up in a situation where you're like, wait a minute, this was not the way I had it planned. So, but if you have any questions, feel free to put them down below. Somebody asked me a question of how I roll up my straps, and I thought I might be able to film it, but I can't, because I've only got 3 hands, and it takes 1 to 1.5 hands to hold the phone to film, and then it takes 2 to 2.5 hands to roll up a strap. Luckily I've gotten it down to just 2 hands, and but to be able to film it and do it at the same time without something to hold my phone. I used to have a contraption that held my phone on like a little mount. I can't find it anymore. So anyway, like I said, comments below, ways to contact me are below in the description. Stuff I carry in my truck is down, you know, everything. If you ever have questions about a video on anybody's YouTube channel, I would always advise you to look at the video description first. It might save you the time of having to wait for an answer from an email or an answer to a comment, because many of the questions I get are answered in the video description because I get the question so much. So it's kind of a generic thing, but everything I use in my truck is listed below. If you want to support me financially, I'm not asking you to. I don't have a Patreon page. But if you feel inclined to, like, you know what, I like what this guy's doing. I do have, you know, I mark down the things that I use in my truck on Amazon. So if you go to those links that I have provided and you buy something, then Amazon gives me a few cents of whatever you buy. So I guess in a sense you're contributing to this channel without having to actually contribute directly. It's an indirect contribution to hopefully something good. Talk to you later. I've got a pre-plan that's going from somewhere in Iowa to near Chicago to deliver tomorrow, Friday, and we'll see if I can get home after that.